nobody would do that. Could you imagine me and you sitting across the table and it's like 40-15 and I'm like, this, you're lucky, and I just walk away. Like in real life, walk away from the table. A week of flesh and blood nationals going on everywhere. But before we dive into nationals, I have an observation slash rant slash why I don't do it. And you're perfect for this because you have told me that you have started doing this. So that is Talishar.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you, I've not done it. And I'll tell you why I have zero interest right now in doing it. What Talishar has become is I am 325 in one in my last 326 games with this deck. That's the first thing between tweets and Facebook posts is that. Yeah. Number two is the guy that went off because I destroyed them, right?
Yeah.
Or the rage quit because I was destroy them. All of these things sound horrible to me, and I want not like that is the whole reason why I agree that they wanted this in flesh and blood, because nobody would do that. Could you imagine me and you sitting across the table and it's like 40-15 and I'm like, fuck this, you're lucky, and I just walk away. Like in real life, walk away from the table. I will tell you, I played a really good player in a top 8 in a mirror match, and it was Andrew. It was an amazing game, and I'm just thinking about this because of how swingy this game was. He was up like 35-16. He was in the mid-30s, and I was in the mid-teens. And I'm thinking, okay, if this is online and somebody's down by like this, they've probably quit at this point. And I remember in that game, if he just doesn't hit me with ice on this turn, I'm going to take every bit of damage because I have just the 3 of a kind. It was Alexi Mirror. And I ended up winning that game in a super close match. But it was the most swingy match I've ever had, which can happen. And the fact that I read this stuff of just people rage quitting or you got lucky, it makes me want to play it. Last night I had an epiphany playing into Briar. I got whooped pretty good with my Dromai deck. And I had a turn where finally got them to put no pressure on me and got a 5-card hand. I had no Ash and all dragons, right?
Mm.
Could say that was unlucky. No, it was because I misplayed my Rake of Embers a turn before and didn't save 1 Ash. I got greedy and didn't just save 1 Ash like you should always do. So I could say, I drew bad, my deck sucks. No, I made a huge play error that my opponent didn't make, and I lost, and I learned from it. Like, I can't make that mistake again. But just seeing all this, and then the posting, and, like, everybody's doing it. It's the thing to do right now is just post the rage quit. Like, not a good game. Nobody posts like this was an amazing game that I had. I haven't seen it. So if you've seen it, let me know. I'm sorry if you've posted it. It's all about rage quits or I'm amazing. I'm 155,001. My last 155,001 matches. Just 1 loss. Really unlucky. But it's like they got to, I don't know. Not a fan for that reason. I know you played it, so I'd like to hear what you think.
Well, so my thing is I tend, like in the digital aspect of games, especially, I tend to only play under 2 circumstances. One, back when we were in COVID and we couldn't go play anywhere, I would play in tournaments and play against people that I didn't know. But that was really the only time I ever just played anybody. Like I would just queue into a match and play whoever was in front of me. Even with Talishar, or back like when we were using TTS or when I used TTS, I much prefer to just play people that I know. I would rather just get a game with somebody that I know, fire it up. I played with my buddy Robert. We've obviously talked about Robert on the channel before, but Robert and I just we've just run games. That's the only person that I've played on it, and it's
You
because
played on Talishar?
yep,
Oh,
yep.
so you didn't go out and do the random cesspool
No,
of players.
no, I don't like to do that because I mean I think for a couple reasons. I get that people are just trying to get reps sometimes, and for some people it's necessary, right? They just need reps on their deck and they see it as an opportunity to get reps. And sometimes that's good. It offers you an opportunity to play your deck over and over like that. I play wizards, so I can do a lot of gold fishing that other people can't. Like that's always my thing. It's like when you play the wizards, you could do a lot more gold fishing because your interaction is kind of different. You can imagine what the other player does and kind of play based on that. But yeah, I haven't done that. I don't particularly like to play just random people because I don't trust who I'm playing against. I don't want to waste my time with bad games. I know that sounds I don't know. That might sound elitist, but I don't like to waste my time with bad games online. If I want to play bad games, I can go to sometimes some random armories and just play random people. But at least then even if the game's not the best or the matchup's kind of funky, I don't have to just sit and endure it in like a miserable sense. I can actually enjoy hanging out and being in the shop. And to me, that's more of what Fab is about. I thought it was interesting. Sasha, posted about that. Sasha, who I can't say his last Markovic or something like that. But Sasha, who's played Kano at the Pro Tour and plays with the Arsenal Pass guys. So Sasha posted about like what's the reason people play? Like what are your reasons for playing games? And I thought, that's an interesting question because Talishar kind of brings it up. For some people, it's just about the grind. That's all they care about. It's all they want to do. It's just play the game. They don't care who they play. They just want to play it. But I think for most of us, it's about playing with people that we know and having fun and enjoying the experience as much as anything. Like games are experiential. It's important to play them with people that you want to play them with. And it's why even though games are one players, like I can play one player games, but I would prefer to play 2-player games or 3 or 4-player games. It's just more fun. I want to play with people.
So I mean, so you fake have played Talishar. So I'm calling that a fake play. That's not a real play because you're
Yeah.
playing against somebody that been consistently playing. That's just like playing webcam or anything else. It's just a little
Yeah.
more convenient where you don't have to pull everything out. So
Right. Yeah.
so you haven't gone into the
No.
Talishar cesspool.
I
So
will.
I don't know.
I will never do that.
I'll be
Honestly.
curious. What is your experience? Am I overreacting? Which I've never done ever on the history of this channel. So that's ridiculous, number one. Or have you had good experience? To me, I don't like it. I do love playing in person. I love playing this game in person because I even, I like to talk trash in a nice way. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody has an
Playful.
amazing draw or something like that, I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? And have fun
Mm-hmm.
and have that feedback back and forth with my
Yeah.
opponent. I enjoy that part of the game and laughter and that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
I just feel frustrated when I see the comments and the way people write. It's like they're trying to trigger each other, and that's their joy is out of just absolutely pissing somebody off with no real context besides hiding behind a keyboard. Like if I piss
Yeah.
somebody off, I'm gonna do it here where you can see my face and that I'm the
Hey,
one pissing you off
yeah.
and
You know where to find
whatever.
us. That's the other
Right,
thing.
right.
That is the other kind of thing that I do find funny is that people have basically admitted or said that they have effectively they have burner accounts. So people they don't want to play like jank decks under their real name. So they have like a secondary account that they play either jank decks, or they don't want people to know who they are when they're playing them. So they don't try hard, or not even like they don't want someone to be a try hard, or they don't want someone to like be able to, oh yeah, I beat so and so on Talishar the other day. So people have like their burner accounts, which I think is great because I always then if people have burner accounts, that it's only a matter of time before you have like the Twitter burner account whoopsie and somebody leaves, they log into the wrong account and they don't get out of their account, like Doc Rivers, and they're liking porn on Twitter. So it's only a matter of time before someone doesn't log out of their burner, and next thing you know, they're just roasting somebody like, you know who I am? Do you know who I am? You suck. And someone goes, man, can you believe so-and-so said this to me? And it's like, oh my God, no, I can't believe I did that. Which just, it's going to happen. I'm waiting for it. Careful, people with
It's
the burner
coming.
accounts. I'm
It's
giving you
coming.
a fair warning. Be careful.
So next is it's just this is just mind-boggling to me to think of a year ago and like such little big events and to have how many national championships in
Yeah.
one weekend. Like
Yeah.
I honestly was like just was traveling the week before with my son. And this is the other part. This is a frustration I have with myself right now is I can't get hyper competitively right now, which upsets me because I'm not going to Charlotte next weekend because I was there last weekend with my son
Yeah.
visiting colleges. And we're in the middle of his senior year of Friday Night Lights. I'm not going to miss a game to go play cards right now. And it's frustrating because I lose a little bit of my competitive edge. I still go to armories and enjoy that part, but I wish I could be more into the meta game hardcore. So for once in this game, I'm only been playing one deck for the past 3 weeks. I've just settled
Yeah.
on Dromai because I don't have time to do my normal shenanigans of switching
Yeah.
over. But so I'm a little jealous of everybody that can do all these events right now because I wish I could. It's just it part of my life is my son committed to a Division II lacrosse program last week, so that was super exciting. That was a lot of our travel. So, uh, and now we got football and fall lacrosse, so it's just kind of a big year. Him being a senior, so I'm missing some of this fun stuff. I'm probably gonna miss Worlds, which is really disappointing, but at the same time, we're just so busy right now. But the metagame is insane. The fact that we have this many national championships, I honestly didn't realize it till like Tuesday that holy shit, there was that many national championships
Yeah.
last weekend. It's crazy. So I got the Fab TCG article. I'm sure you have that
Yep.
up as well.
That's what I'm looking through right now.
My only complaint about this article, and I tried to do it real quick, but I didn't have time to put all these into Excel because I would rather have this ordered by top eights down, and then I could redo it and copy and do another one wins down instead of trying to find them instead of alphabetical. But that's just me being a dumbass. It's just a lot of work for somebody to do it. So on here we have 4, 5, 6. So we have eight national championship results. Is that what you got?
Yeah. It looks like it.
And I don't think there's any surprise that Oldham owns half of them.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that he has half of them. I think he's kind of in that he sits in a place where when a meta is really wide like it is, a lot of times the best deck to bring is the deck that you think has the best matchup spread. The one that you don't think is going to get really blown out by anybody, that demands that everybody plays into you. If they want to beat you, they have to play correctly. If you're confident you can play correctly. And he's just the deck that seems to have the most. He's kind of in the middle of those game plans, right? Where he can play a little more proactive if he needs to, but he can be controlling if he needs to and fatigue people and get through certain turns. And I I think the thing that surprised me the most was something that we kind of all anticipated, which is the fact that the meta is really wide. It feels like a lot of different. You expect to see, oh, it's Oldham and well, it's no, like you can count down the list and Oldham 1, Icelander 1, Dorinthia 1, Viscerai 1, Briar 1, Dash
Yeah.
1.
Oh, that's not on this.
Oh,
Dorinthia
really?
won one?
Yeah, Dorinthia 1, I think. Where's it at? Hold on, let me
It's
find
not
it.
shown. It's not shown on this one, at least.
Dorinthia 1, Romania.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where I'm gonna be a little bit American. 36 players average from the results they have up here per national. 36 players,
Yeah,
right?
there quite a few of them were in that range, that
They're
36 to 40.
low.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. You get different things where I feel like you have what 3, 4 big ones. I mean, we're the
Yeah.
only huge one, right? US is
Right.
the only
Yeah.
one that's over a couple hundred players,
Yeah.
right? Most of them are around
Most
96
most
to.
yeah, I think most nationals, so the bigger nationals I think are like Australia is 100, the UK is around 100, Canada is around 100, and then the US is 400 or 500.
Is that much again this year?
I believe so. Yeah, I think there's 400 or 500 qualified players.
Wow, that's insane.
So
Wow, that's a lot. So it takes a little bit more in the U.S. just because we have such a amount of players, and I know everybody. So that here, how does this work? Because everybody's like Europe owns Fab, so you just get to take a whole freaking continent of all these different countries and then be like, oh, we're all the European Union. It's like, so like, yeah, your 30 countries are the best Fab players.
I mean, if that's the case, we'll just take Canada. We'll just go the U.S. It's U.S. and Canada gets to be one, and then I think that immediately puts us in the driver's seat of having like the best cumulative. Because the question is, right? So then here's the question: what defines the best? Is it because they've won the most events, they've represented the highest? That's always the question. And then again, to your point, I mean, if it's people from 6 different countries that are representing 6 of a top 8, I mean, if it's 6 different countries, that's no different than the U.S. having. If the U.S. has 2, then we technically outweighed all of them because we're from one country.
I just looked up. The European Union's 27 countries. So I mean, let's get off our high horse European Union and Europe's the best. It's 27 countries. That's a little ridiculous.
It's pretty easy. I think really what's happening is they're all riding Pablo's coattails, because clearly Pablo is carrying the weight of that, right? Like it's like he's got the weight of the entire continent on his back. And they're like, yeah, we're the best. We're the best. And it's like, no, Pablo is the best. He's the one who has like topped all of these events, won a pro tour, all of this. You need to carry your weight. If you want to claim the win with him, you can't be the random guy that plays receiver for the Patriots and claim that you won a Super Bowl because of Tom Brady. No, Tom Brady won a Super Bowl. You just happen to be on the Patriots. Pablo Pintor is the best player is probably the pound for pound best player in the world. You just happen to reside on the same continent as him. That doesn't mean that you're the best with him. That's not how that works.
ELO would say America's still the best. We still got 5 of the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually an interesting thing. It was funny to see the other day how everybody's ELO was kind of hitting after like nationals and some of the nationals and pro tour ELO I think was hitting, and people were they were feeling the sting of the post pro tour ELO hit.
So, yeah, because some people dropped way down.
Yeah. They were talking. Some of the numbers were pretty astounding. People who were in the top couple hundred were plummeting into the thousands.
Oh, really?
Rough day at the office, man. If you lose to the wrong people, you're going to pay the price for it with Fab ELO.
Beat the right people, you really bump up. So it can go. It goes both ways.
Yep.
I mean, you can really pop up and get a lot of points for beating the right person. But yeah, you lose to the wrong person, you're highly rated.
Yeah.
Ouch.
You're gonna take a real dive, and I think that's another risk of it. It's an interesting risk that you take every time you go out in Fab, with all the ELO being something that can weigh onto your invites going to Worlds and things like that. I think somebody actually asked that. They said, if my ELO is top whatever, do I risk playing nationals and potentially have to spend a PTI to go to Worlds?
What's crazy is Pablo, who most people would consider the world's best player right now, right?
I think it's hard not to, just because of his. I mean, he top 8'd the second pro tour, right?
The first one, top 8.
He won the top 8, right? Yeah. Spanish national champion, runner up this last time. So
right,
yeah,
right. He dropped. With that being said, somehow he dropped to 16th in ELO.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. Some of that has to do with. It does just have to do with like who you lose to at the right time,
right, which is crazy. Which is crazy, because I would still consider him the best, but
yeah,
who am I to judge that? And it's still hard to tell. I mean, for XP, I think to judge by that, I mean that takes 5 years of countries catching up to
Mm-hmm.
start evening out the countries that
Yeah.
had armories first and
Yeah.
going from there. But
Yeah, I think Elo is the best rating, but even then I think that's going to take some time to flesh itself out, because I think some of the reasons that you see the big spikes and drops and like these big ceiling and floor, like huge rises, huge drops, is because the numbers are just really out of balance right now, and there are a lot of people playing at events that have very low elo because they just haven't had the opportunity to play yet, because elo is such a new thing. It's like the you know 10 is a big enough number, but if you say, well, 10 plus 1, what's the average of 10 and 1? That's a pretty low number, even though 10 is big, because 1 is really low. And that's basically what's happening with people's elo, is somebody with real high elo is taking a loss to somebody who's not necessarily bad, but they just haven't built their
they
elo
don't have
up.
the elo yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just early in the elo, so their elo is low. And it's not because they've lost. It's just because they haven't had a chance to really earn a ton of it. And I think that'll come with time. Even elo and XP, it's an advance on XP. Like it's a better measure, I think, in the grand scheme of things. But it will take some time, just like XP, to
Takes
kind of
time.
flesh
Yep.
itself out and really get better. But I think so far, national season has been great. I think seeing the meta at this point feels incredibly healthy, despite what some
Yeah,
people
it's
seem to think.
so the biggest surprise I see, one of the biggest surprises is a Reinar winning. I don't know how many people were at that nationals, but for only 10 total players playing it, to have a win already is pretty crazy.
So the interesting thing there, though, is if Reinar has a decent matchup into Oldham, simply because
Yes.
he has weird hand disruption stuff.
He can just
Yeah.
he can do the long game with Oldham, but then just be like, all right, I'm gonna take your hand so you just can't block and do all
Yep.
your shenanigans.
Yeah.
which,
Exactly.
which is pretty awesome. So,
So.
but that once again, it's another deck that a lot of people think the early decks are easy to play, and they're not, because
Yeah.
you
No.
have to be so disciplined to play them
Yeah.
perfectly. And here's the thing from Talishar: to have your pitch stack perfect. So it's not high roll when you get man, what's the main intimidate card? See, my brain is just
Barraging beatdown.
yeah. So if you
Yeah.
get barraged 4 times and you're on turn 30,
Yeah.
that's not luck. That's
Yeah.
a really good pitch stack of a person blocking with the correct cards and pitching
Yeah.
the right cards. So those are all sitting there, and they only need a swing club to win at that point,
Yeah.
because you have no hand, and it's like a 20-point club. It's
Yeah.
probably not that big, but it's a big ass club coming at your face that you cannot block.
Yeah, I think that's the big issue, is people you start to see some of those interesting sub games in national results where people, you kind of wonder how something won something, and sometimes you find out that there's a weird list, like the list that when people like, how did Oldham lose to Phi in one of the nationals, and then you look at the Oldham list and it's like, well, I mean,
It was really weird.
yeah, you're
It
not
was really
running
weird.
not running Crown of Seeds or Rampart in that matchup seems absolutely insane to me. It just absolutely mind-boggling that you wouldn't run that combo into a ninja. It just
Right.
it's wrong. Like that, I think as card games get on, as Fab has come along, we've been able to get to this point now where we don't really necessarily have, there are objectively wrong and right decisions in the deck building process, but then now we're starting to get to where there's a little more gray area and there's more subjectivity, where people go, well, this is how I built my deck, so I need this card or that card in it. But then there are things that just are wrong. There's right and wrong. And playing a ninja, when someone flips over a ninja in their hero slot, and you as Oldham choose not to flip over Crown of Seeds and Rampart of the Ram's Head, you are not making a subjective choice to your deck build. You're making a wrong choice. It is incorrect to not flip over those two pieces of equipment. It is wrong. They for
I
two
agree with that
for any
100%.
for any pitch card, you get to trade one card in your hand for 2/1 blocks and draw another card. I'm sorry, it's wrong to do anything else.
The other things, just looking at numbers, Briar most represented. I'll be curious how that changes coming to America, not the movie. Um, this weekend to see what the Briar percentage looks like. I feel like Isaac locally here, who I played with Dromai last night, uh, he plays Briar very, very, very disciplined and can do very well into some of
Mm-hmm.
the that weren't always considered favorable. And I think that's your Briar players are going to have to be like that right now. Viscerai way up there at number 2, only 6 top 8s, no wins. Very hard deck, I think, to run perfectly, and has some really bad. I mean, I think they hit him too early and too hard. I mean, the guy never got a chance to win anything, and they hit him. And I understand
Yeah.
that Skeletor was really good, and there was some good combos there, but uh, I don't
It's a rough
let him
one.
win
Yeah.
something before you. I that's a like I don't get the sometimes proactive yet we let's just play out Starvo approach.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
let Starvo play out the most diseased hero ever, but we don't give Viscerai a chance,
Yeah. That was.
especially coming into an ice meta.
Yep.
Coming into an ice meta where maybe he just gets shut down.
Right. And that's what we're kind of seeing with him now is it feels like a lot of decks either out aggro him or control him too much and don't let him do anything. And Scaletta would actually be an opportunity for a chance for him to have a game plan into certain decks that right now he doesn't really have much of a game plan into, where he feels very middling. So I don't know. I think my one of my favorite things to see this so far in that season has just been the rise of Icelander and how you're seeing people cultivate a different strategy with her that's really interesting. And the Eisenhower Weathervane strategy is basically the sigil strategy, but it's more proactive, where instead of waiting to defense react and then zap them with frostbites hoping to get them to stack, you just hope to put a bunch of frostbites on them. They can't do anything on their turn and they take them anyway, or you can just shut them down more consistently. And the it's I love that she's starting to get fleshed out a little bit. You're seeing good players take a crack at her, like seeing Pablo take her is really interesting. I like his list.
I do think so. I played against Dylan last night once
Mm-hmm.
again with Dromai, which I'm favored pretty well in, and it was I barely eked out that win because he completely changed the typical Icelander game plan,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Um, to be putting damage in different places and changed it up. My saving grace was an early passing mirage that he just couldn't deal with. Like
Yeah.
that was one of the worst things for him to see. But usually in the early times, Dromai, we were just destroying Icelanders, and now it's you make a mistake, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's over. You got to play it really, really tight because Icelander can now and he didn't do that approach just because you don't against Dromai
Yep.
in that matchup, but he just the deck was versatile enough to go a different route
Yep.
to try for victory, and then he beat another Dromai, so it does work. And yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see. I mean, maybe a 10% Icelander field in America.
Right. She's got some legs. I think that's the big thing is she actually has a reasonable game plan in the decks now. The Weather Vane approach just allows you to be proactive, and it allows for some cards to be better than they've ever been before, because something like Freezing Point is a card that has always felt kind of eh, but with Weather Vane it allows you to actually make some frostbites on them, which then gives you a chance to fuse that and get more than 5 damage or get more than 5 plus the hexes. Or you can play Encase. Encase is a card that at first it was just like, man, I don't even know why, like, what is this card supposed to really do? But Tunic, Weathervane, play Encase for 0, fuse it with the blue ice card, and then arsenal your blue ice card. It's like that's a 2-3 card hand that actually has some significant impact on the game strategy and how your opponent has to play.
That card was annoying. I
Yep.
mean, every time that one came up, it was super super annoying
Mm-hmm.
to have to deal with it, and
Yeah.
just getting a lot of just the ice card, just that little bit of disruption,
Mm-hmm.
and then hitting you for 4 or 5 arcane, instead of the long setup that usually was done, made a huge difference. And she could really push some very similar to Kano-esque type turns where you're chipping damage, setting up
Yep.
for something a little bit bigger. So it's definitely interesting.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people aren't showing the Icelander because you don't want to give too many opportunities to practice into that deck.
Yeah.
It's just like Kano. The more you play against Kano, the better your matchup is
Yeah.
versus a new player who might be with a deck that's favored 80% and just gets destroyed by Kano
Yeah.
because they
Get
don't
blown out.
understand it. So I think that's with Icelander, that she'll see a good pop now,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just depends. And it depends with what happens with Dynasty.
Yeah.
If we know there's gonna be one card that can get rid of Frost Hex for like your Bravo, and Oldham need to get rid of those because those can just kill them.
Yeah, they're a big part of it. I think it's been cool to just see how Nats has come along so far and how it continues to evolve. I think the only thing that's been unfortunate about Nats has been some of the issues surrounding some of the events, at least from the outside, right? There was kind of the chaos of UK Nats, like the scheduling issue, which doesn't completely go on the TO or LSS. That was probably a joint venture. The Canadian Nats thing, I felt real bad when I saw Flake, who everybody loves. He was so excited to go, and then at one point he posted, "I've played 4 rounds and I've been here since 9 a.m." and it had been like 6-7 hours.
3 p.m. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was like 3 p.m. when he
yeah,
posted that.
they had played 4 rounds in like 6 hours, which is unreal. And then
Almost 7. It was
yeah,
almost 7 hours
almost
by
seven
that
hours
point.
by that point. And then Paul, the tall Timmy, mentioned that the Oz Nats wasn't run great, and Hayden's his big complaint or big gripe with Osnats was that the space was really small and cramped. And I guess my question to you and get your thoughts on, and I'm curious what other people think, is how much of that responsibility is on LSS for not vetting the TOs well enough or not putting in more time to make sure that the TOs they're choosing to run these, premier prestigious events aren't the best TOs, and maybe they're the ones that gave them the best pitch or something.
So this is where I think LSS should be leaning on content creators and active people in the community
Mm-hmm.
in different parts of the world that have been with the game long to help vet that process. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
little bit harder in like America, right? But easier at the same time because we have huge companies that do that, and
Yeah.
usually they're fine. As long as you're not wearing a yellow shirt, the rest of the stuff is pretty good. Um, Canada, I mean, Canada's big, it's sparse, but there's enough
It,
people up there that
yeah.
should be able to help, that they know. I mean, they got
Right.
Tariq up there, and there's plenty
Yeah.
of people that they
Flake
should be
and
able to
Yuki.
lean on to be like, hey, who is this person?
What?
Are they going to
Yeah.
murder somebody? Is it going to be a good event?
Yeah.
So
Well,
I think you got to lean on the community,
a little
trust the
more. Yeah.
community. You can't just lean on the community because obviously you'll have idiots and assholes within the community as well.
Trust the right
So
people.
trust the right
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. That the
I
Canada
mean, don't come
one.
asking me. I'm gonna put it in the brewery up in Chisago, okay? 20 minutes, 5 minutes from home. We got a huge dining hall. That's where I'm gonna run it
That'll
at.
run it.
But
It'll be great. I mean, not a lot of Fab players would probably be down for literally anything running a brewery, but
yeah, it's in a brewery, so they're probably like people would be just like drunk by the point that nobody even cared that it was a smaller event. They'd just be like, "This is at a brewery.
it's great.
We're
Yeah.
okay with all of this."
The Canada one is interesting because I'm curious what Canadian players think of Carta Magica, because that's who ran it. We played in a DBS regional event that Carta Magica ran. It was a Canadian event. We were allowed to play it on webcam, and we played in it. And a couple of us locally here. We topped 8 in the Dragon Ball one, and I remember getting my prizing, it taking me like a full 3 months to get it. And this wasn't, to be fair, I just, for clarification, it was a webcam event, but it was post pandemic. We were like coming out and things were actually opened up. The postal service was running just fine and stuff. So it wasn't like, mid pandemic when postal service was disrupted and things like that. So don't get me, I'm not, knocking them for something that they didn't have control over. They absolutely had control over it. I didn't get postage stuff for my pricing for like a month and a half. They just kind of took their sweet time figuring it out, and then it took them like another 2 weeks to mail it. Like the classic, they made a postal sticker for it, stuck it on, and then threw it in the back, and then they were like, "Yeah, no, you got the tracking." And it's like, "Yeah, but it hasn't updated. It's been 10 days." Like it's like
It's literally
I
sit in
know,
the back seat of your car. Damn
yeah,
it!
it's like
Drop it off at the post office.
I know you're just not dropping it off. You made it to get to people to shut up, but it took them forever to get it. And I'm curious if Carta Magic, like how good they are, at least in like in person. I've never played an in-person event, but I don't know. Four rounds in 6 or 7 hours is pretty rough, and size is a pretty important thing when it comes to a venue. Like we're having a battle hardened, and they're putting in the time and energy to go get for the battle hardened to get a room at the convention center, which is it's a long trip. It's work, it's time, it's money, it's energy to do it. It's a big money sink to get it there, but I think they just want to make sure that, Terrence wants to make sure it's a well-run event with lots of room for players to move around and not be crammed. The LA battle hardened, they were doing that. You could see the room in the background. It was a huge room. Like they had tons of room to move around. And it's like, how can you have local stores running battle hardens that have better venues than nationals events?
Yeah, I think they just need to lean on the community because it's hard. You're in New Zealand. It's hard to know who to look for, for all these countries. So many countries that are running it. So you need to start leaning on the community for these places and trust the community to help out with that. And then have a scapegoat to blame. Well, I asked Blake and he told me this was
Go. Here's his podcast.
What do you want me to do?
Here's his podcast. Here's his Twitter handle. You go talk to him about it. I don't have anything to do with
his fault.
It's his
Not
fault.
our fault. A card came out this last week.
Yeah.
Which is very, very intriguing. I thought you would think it's very, very intriguing. And that would be the new wizard card. This is a very interesting card.
Yeah.
It's a non-attack action, so it's good into Kano, but Blessing of Aether, 1 cost, 2 block. 2 block sucks.
Yeah.
Never like a 2 block, especially in Kano. That's really, 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 really bad. It's amazing how much that devalues that card.
Yeah,
by having the 2 block,
in Kano,
especially in Kano.
As a red, especially, you need your reds to be high value on every front.
But at the start of your turn, destroy Blessing of Aether. Then if the next card you play this turn has an arcane damage effect, instead it deals that much arcane damage +3. So this is a weird card, and I'm going to tell you why it's a weird card. I'm going to tell you why it also could be very, very awesome card. It's a weird card because you don't want to be Kanoing on your opponent's turn and pop this up, because then you're kind of left with what you're left and you're not going to get the full value of it. So you need to see this on your turn on a Kano while you're doing some damage and getting this out at the same time.
Yeah.
So that when it comes back around to your next turn, that hopefully you can arsenal something. I mean, you really... But if you do set this up right and you can Sonic Boom or
Spindle,
Spindle for 7 or 8. I mean, that's an 8 with
spindle.
1 blue and 1 Spindle.
Yep.
I mean, 8 cards, and most people are only going to run Arcane 3, so you're probably going to be able to set up 5 cards of your next turn.
That's the magic.
I mean, that is... I think Spindle, you're probably right. Spindle is probably the best play with this.
I did
just because you can set up so much, and you're pushing really, really good chip damage, and you basically like, okay, with all my toys that I have now, with my Deja Vus, my Ragamuffins cap, and then a 5 card opt. Whoo.
I will say the first thing that came to mind with this card is Goodbye Stir, Hello Blessing of Aether, Hello Forked for the win on my turn. Because if you
that's pretty big.
Pitch stack it. Are you ready? Let's pitch stack this baby. We're gonna pitch stack it. So I can arsenal my Forked Lightning, and my turn is gonna be play a Blessing of Aether with my action, and Kano the one that I pitch stacked. So at the start of my next turn, Blessing of Aether pops, Blessing of Aether pops. My next effect, basically, that deals Arcane gets +6. Will activate my Crucible, and I will Forked Lightning.
So that's 14.
That's
That's a 20.
+7.
That's
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, it's so I think it's an 18 because it's 3, 6, 7. So and then
Yep, the 7 would be
Yep.
14, and then
Yep.
what is forked 3?
2 and 2, right? It's 2 and 2 base.
Yeah, yep.
So
So 18.
This is 18, and then if you activate your Metacarpus nodes, it's a 20. And then you just pitch stack your Blazing Aether, and you just go action, Forked Lightning for 20, pitch to Kano, Blazing Aether for 20.
So that means, so you're building, essentially, you're going to have to chip damage to an OTK
Yep. Yeah.
finish, right? So that means in that instance, this Kano I would foresee with Iron Rot and a Skullcap.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility that you could play an OTK strategy where you're just trying to run.
Right. Because
Yeah.
I don't even know if you'd run Tunic. You'd want, you'd still have
You
one
could still
armor
run
block,
Tunic,
but
yeah.
Yep. But then you would run
Crown of Providence, maybe.
yeah, because could you do it without Storm Striders? No, you would need it for the.
Ideally, you would have Storm Striders because you could then forked and then play like Blazing from hand. You could just pop.
You could just blazing it off.
Tunic and use your Striders. Like it's.
And then you don't have to have the resources to.
Yeah.
You don't have to have all the energy potion up to do it.
The big,
I mean, it's just you're block heavy, so you just need to be able to block out and still be able to chip some damage in here and there.
It's very much like the stir forked style build. I think the difference is you can actually have some.
It's way bigger.
Yeah,
this
is way bigger. It also offers an opportunity where, like, on the chance that you happen upon 2 of them, right? Like a world where you play one or you pitch to Kano and you've got one of these in your hand, and your turn is like, oh, pitch to Kano. You see one, and you've got like a Sonic Boom or something. You just go like play Blessing off of Kano, play Blessing from hand. Pass. Arsenal my Sonic Boom, or Arsenal my Aether Spindle. Can you imagine an Aether Spindle for like 11?
Yeah.
Like
because you're gonna see 8 cards. So regardless, you just pitched it. God, that's so much of your deck that you're pitch stacking.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is so
you've decided
you don't even need to get to the second cycle.
You get your full hand plus like 2 Kanos.
Right.
Like
you can basically, and then you can be like, well, depending on how they block and how many cards they have left, you know if you're going off on their turn or your turn. It's so, I mean, I think that so it may, I say may because until you actually test with it, some things seem amazing and then they suck, or some things suck and then they're amazing. So it may be the next level Kano, or it may be something you're like, I can never pull it off right, or I just can't. I get it at the wrong time. I mean, with everything, you just have to play around it. But yeah, I'm excited for that card and to test with it.
I'm excited to just see some new cards. I'm ready for this spoiler season because it's going to be exciting.
And automatically, like, Forked wasn't huge into the deck anymore.
Yeah.
At least in my deck, it was. It come out a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, Fork Spindle in some of the 5 attacks, like those are just all 8.
Yeah.
I mean, now we're talking some huge with. Oh, yeah. I'll be curious. We'll have to once it's and like we're not going to practice probably until it comes out, but once it comes out, really, really pumped. And this will be out soon, right? Because this is a promo.
No, I think this is the promo for that month, for release month or the month after. I think they were
release month. Okay.
Yeah, I think they were just doing some like spoilers. I don't think this is going to be like a playable card until it's after the fact, but it's still fine.
So I'm excited. And speaking of Dynasty, November 2nd.
Yeah,
right?
Spoiler.
We'll be doing, which is insane that we know it this far out. We were talking about
excited about that.
We usually don't know. This will be on a Wednesday locally, November 2nd, and we'll probably go live, I would assume, like we usually do. So. Just do a live release, like usual. And it's the last day of spoilers, season, so they'll kind of culminate everything, and then 2 days later the set drops, right? Or is it a week later?
I don't know. I can't remember exact release date, honestly. But I think it'll be it's fun. It'll be fun to do a spoiler then because we'll have so much to talk about, and that's usually when live streams are at their best. Is when we can theory craft what's come out today with what's been going and what's happening, and there's a lot to discuss there. But
I will say my hope is this isn't that Dynasty is not Everfest-ish. And there was a lot of cards that are not going to see play in traditional competitive fab.
yeah,
And with a couple of the heroes being Yoji and the Emperor, those are not really traditional
right.
fab heroes either.
Yeah, I hope that what we see from the slot, because last time a big chunk of the slots was taken up by potions and talismans, and they're cool, and they've added some stuff to the game, and I'm sure eventually they'll have more. But I really hope that one of these supplemental sets gives us the opportunity to have some talent cards, because I feel like the talents really need a little bit more depth to their pools. It feels like they're just to be able to build some of these decks different and give them more character and more,
So that's an interesting point because I agree with that, except for like I would love to see more lightning and earth style cards
Yeah.
for Briar, but she might be gone and never be
Right.
able to use
Yeah.
them anyway. But definitely I would like to see some more light cards
Yeah.
for Bolton
Yep.
or so there is tons. We want to see more shadow cards for Levia. Would like to see like new heroes using some talents of these retired heroes or
Yeah.
mix match. I like the idea of Starvo having a bigger card pool. Maybe we don't give him everything available, but another hero that mix matches
Yeah.
weird.
Has more than one talent or
Right.
something. Yeah.
Yep.
It'll be nice. Dynasty is exciting. It's exciting that it's right around Worlds, but I mean, I guess before we call it a night, because we've covered most everything, but I think we have to make at least a couple predictions for US Nats.
Yeah. So this is and you're going to agree with this 100%.
Yep.
And this isn't me being me, but I'm telling you right now, I have a strong feeling a Minnesotan's going to win nationals.
Win it. Okay.
Win it. I know I will be absolutely shocked if there's not one or two in the top 8.
Right. I would assume we'll see one in the top 8. That would be my guess. Or
I mean,
hopefully.
you just had 2 of them get top 20 at the Pro Tour.
Yep. Top 16. Yep.
Yeah. So I really think a Minnesota is going to be right up there
a real shot
to win or yeah.
What
So that's my first prediction.
What deck do you think is going to win U.S. Nationals?
So I have knowledge of decks being played, so I'm not going to let that.
I kind of have
affect me. So I don't really want to say because I kind of know what everybody's playing, and I know people are weird about that, like top secret. But I mean, I don't know. What do you think? I'm trying to get a good thought here.
I think that somebody said that they think Phi is going to have a big thing, but I think that
no way.
The U.S. is the land of the Guardians. If we've proven one thing, it's that we like there are a lot of good players in the U.S. who like their Guardian decks, and they're going to be ready to roll. I think the deck that might surprise people is actually Dromai for a couple of reasons, because I think she's better than a lot of countries have kind of let her be in terms of her actual, like, what value she offers. I also think that into a wider field, you're going to have a lot of people playing Oldhim because they think he's the best deck. People will be playing Icelander because they think she's great. And then you'll have those people who don't realize that if some very good player shows up with Dromide, there could be some real problems for them. Like if you show up with,
I love Dromai. I've been playing her a lot. I'm starting to figure her out, but it's a lot to figure out because there's a lot of blocking, a lot of setup, a lot of pitch stacking, because you can play the second cycle with her pretty much against any deck.
Yep.
Even Oldhim, who pummels the piss out of you, you can still get to second cycle. So I agree with that. And if there's a strong Icelander showing, that might bring her up again. Now, there's probably better. I know there's better Dromai players out there. I struggle with the Briar matchup, and I've formulated a new plan in my head for that matchup, which I'll try next time I play. But I think maybe you can try to fatigue her and run a thick deck. That's the nice thing about Dromai is I have tried it a couple times, just running a full deck,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel clunky
Yeah. Yeah. She plays
because
very defensive.
yeah, I have plenty of block cards that I have time. I'm in no hurry. I can play fast. I can play 72 cards and still play fast in no hurry and make my ash production and get stuff going and blah. So it's kind of interesting. So I'll be curious, but I'm with you on Dromai. That might shock some people.
I think the real spice for U.S. nationals will be if somebody looks across a room and sees Tariq Patel, who decides to spend a PTI to join U.S. nationals to try to defend his crown, because that would be the only thing that would be better than being the reigning U.S. and Canadian national champion currently. Would be retaining the U.S. crown to try and then retain the Canadian crown. It's the classic WWF, WWE, whatever version of like someone holding the U.S. championship belt and the world championship belt, and they got one belt on either shoulder. Like I feel like he should just walk around everywhere with like both trophies.
He would the belt, the one belt he would have to have is the Intercontinental belt.
Yeah.
I mean, and you got to go Ultimate Warrior white.
Yes.
Like if you don't do that version of the belt, and then probably just like the standard WWE championship belt, but like Intercontinental or maybe the US champ, Intercontinental and US champ. Those are the two belts you walk around with.
Yeah. He should until somebody takes it. Like there's part of me that wonders if somebody doesn't at some point. Someone should. Maybe that's a thing for LSS. I bet they could figure that out before Worlds. They should do a world championship belt. Forget the trophy, man. Let's be done with the trophies. There's a lot of love in this community for like professional wrestling, and people love those comparisons. And like, so let's just go for it. I loved the Flake did the thing where he was like, if who would people be if they were different things? And I pointed out that we had already claimed Degeneration X as like our brand and our association, because there's nobody who would better fit that profile than the Outcasts. And we even wore it, we rocked it at Vegas. But it's funny how much this community seems to love professional wrestling. Even James White has said he loves it. And I mean, do it. How legendary would it be if somebody took a picture with their giant check and over their shoulder they had a championship, the world championship belt.
So I want somebody who gets the last check to go Happy Gilmore on it. Be like, no.
Don't.
I want the big one.
I want the big
Give
one.
me the big check.
I want to take the big. I want a big one.
Give me the big check.
I did.
Now.
I still think one of my favorite fab pictures of all time on social media will forever be Pablo's picture where they were in the airport because he took the check home. And there's a picture of his friends playing fab on his giant check on the airport floor.
Because
And it's like, to this day, I think that might be my favorite Flesh and Blood picture ever. Is Pablo's buddies?
Wouldn't you?
That's what I would do with it. I would do weird stuff like that with. I would treat it like the Stanley Cup. I would take it everywhere with me.
I would do weird stuff. I just had a lot of bad vision. I would do some weird stuff with that check. Check it out.
Hey, if people want to know what it is, they
so next week we'll get to talk about all this and see if we're right on our predictions.
Yep. Yeah.
But until then, just listen to our soothing voices as you step on the convention. I will say, all the excitement that goes into going to nationals, there's nothing worse than cold concrete convention halls. Like I saw some of the pictures where they were in these beautiful, like the Pro Tour with the full windows and sunlight. Yeah. Like, God, that must be an amazing experience. That's something we need to work on. Let's not do these in conventions. Can we find big areas? What is it? Arboretum?
Arboretum?
Thank you.
I got you.
My brain was not going to let that one process out. I still can't say it. I just heard it and I still can't say it. But something like that,
Yeah. Let's host a major event in the U.S. and we'll rent the U.S. Bank and do it on the floor, because you can see there's the big windows looking into the city. Do it on the field. I'm sure they would probably cover it up with something like they do when they have those big events. But I mean, we could just do it on the grass too. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that'd be. Oh, you know how soft that is.
Oh.
You don't not standing around. Plus, then if a WWE event breaks out or somebody
Yeah.
needs to slam somebody at a table, it's a lot softer to get body slammed
Yeah.
on the turf like that.
I mean, if someone's going to slam some through a table, we need to host the event in Buffalo, but that's just because, you got to stay on brand for the Bills fans.
Oh, I saw that. They're insane.
I was actually sad.
They're winners.
I think my saddest news story of this week from ESPN was finding out that Mina Kimes, the broadcaster, she works for ESPN. She was willing to let the Bills fans throw her through a table for Monday Night Football, and ESPN shut it down. They said they wouldn't let it happen. I was real disappointed.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That is horrible news. I would have loved to have seen that.
It would
That's
have been
must-see
incredible.
TV.
Huge kudos to her for doing it. I mean, honestly, if you went to Buffalo and you were out tailgating and someone was like, "We're going to throw you through a table," everyone in the world at least considers it, right? Like, you at least think about it.
I mean, I would like to do the throwing. I don't think my body could handle getting thrown through it, but I will definitely help do the throwing. That sounds like fun to me.
It'd be a great time. We could do it at the next Fab event. We'll throw someone through a table.
Yeah,
Bills
so
fan
we need
style.
some tables and some volunteers so we can body slam you through some table.
We're big enough, guys. We'll
get you
We're
up.
gonna drop you.
We could go for a double suplex onto it too.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a classic move.
Classic. I like it.
We'll figure that out and we'll let you know.
We'll let you know. That'll be a giveaway at like 2000.
You win. We're gonna double suplex you through the table.
If you put your name in, if you've commented during our channel's life, you will be put into the raffle to be thrown through a table at the next major Fab event. I mean, some people would be all about it. Other people maybe not so much, but
we'll see. We'll see the response. We'll see if we get any comments on it.
Yeah. You got anything else? Or we're gonna wrap this thing
I got
up?
nothing else.
All right. I think I'm good. So, well, thank you guys for listening. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you got anything to say, always throw it in the comments. We love interacting with you guys in the comments. We missed you last week. We're excited to be back, and we're excited to talk Nationals next week. So put your put who you think is going to win. Give us some expectations. Who's winning Nationals? What deck is winning it? Look like a genius. Come back next week and be like, I told you guys in the comments, you should have me on.
You can always edit the comment.
Yeah.
People might not realize it.
We might not even notice that it says the word edited above it. Maybe we don't. But if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you like it. Tell somebody about us. We're getting close to 1,600, so we're only 11 away from giving away another set. And then we got some playmats to give away eventually, and then maybe we'll do something with our spoiler. We can give away a playmat or something. So thank you guys for listening. We appreciate you, and we will see you next time. Peace.